So here's some notes I kind of put together on having, and I want you guys to jot some of these things down. Having more of a focus of opportunity during the ASAP appointments. More focus of opportunity during ASAP appointments. What can you do? There's 8 points that I have here. Number 1, the Sam Lynn prospecting conversation while you're building rapport. I will do it for you guys today. I won't do it right now, but when I get into the presentation, I will actually do the Sam Lynn prospecting building rapport thing with Mitch and Laura. I won't make a project out of it because I know we have short time here, but I'll do that with them, and you'll see how I drop a seed or plant a seed for what? For opportunity for them to consider either them coming aboard or somebody that they know, right? You want to constantly plant seeds. Don't worry about, during the presentation, saying it too many times. They go, well, Mark, you know, I already said that at the beginning. I already told them that yeah, but they may not have even been listening, right? They may not have even been considering it with themselves. Things that are important to you, you say it multiple times, right? If any of you have kids, you know, you have to tell your kids 5 times, hey, don't forget to take out there, hey, don't forget to clean your room, hey, don't forget to do your homework, don't forget, and you're mentioning things to them, you know, go, yeah, but I told them last week to do their homework. You got to tell them again, right? So it's the same thing here. So the Sam Lynn prospecting conversation while you're building rapport plants the first seed towards what? Towards recruiting or an invitation. When you find out what they do, asking them if they see themselves doing that forever. That's a great way. That's a great way to find out how open they are. How fertile is the soil? You know, when we built our house, they did what's called a perk test. You guys know what a perk test is? No, some of you do, some of you don't. Okay, a perk test is finding out how absorbing or absorbent is the ground, like for a well, or not for a well, I'm sorry, but for a septic system, right? Is the ground going to take in the water from the septic system? They do a perk test. It's a way to gauge that, right? Asking that question is a perk test on their occupation. Hey, that's awesome that you work at Walgreens as a middle-level manager. That's awesome. I mean, do you see yourself doing that forever, or do you see yourself retiring there? That's a great question to ask without trying to, them feeling like you're trying to recruit them. You're just asking them a simple question. If they go, no, then what is that? That's fertile soil, right? It's like, okay, that's a good thing for you to know. Now, you may not jump on them right there about opportunity here, but for them to say, no, I don't see myself doing this forever. And that might be, again, it's a great question for you to consider as you're going through the presentation of hey, we're looking for people. You mentioned a minute ago that you didn't see yourself at Walgreens for the next 28 years. So you might want to consider working with our firm, okay? Number 3, a really clear 2 sets of eyes where you ask a question after each one. On the 2 sets of eyes, all of you should know what that is. Some of you don't. You'll see it's the way we open up the presentation. So a really clear 2 sets of eyes where you ask a question after each one. See, most people do the 2 sets of eyes and they blaze through it and they don't ask a question after each one. They go, okay, so we're looking for people, so I want you to think of people as we go through this, of people that you know that might be open for opportunity, then I want you to think of people that you know that might be open to getting a financial roadmap and might benefit from what we do. Okay, and then they jump to the presentation. You didn't stop and go, can you think of those people? Like, I'm going to expect that from you, so I ask a question. I stop and go, can you think of somebody, and would you be embarrassed to refer us to people that you know, Stephen, that might be open to interviewing with our company? Can you think of those people, Stephen? Because I'm going to want to get those names when we're done. Can you think of those people?
Yes.
Okay, good. The second set of eyes is, and then I go a second, and I get agreement from him. Because if you're going to ask a question, don't you want agreement? Mm-hmm. Yes or no, right? You're asking a question to find an answer. It's amazing how many people ask a question, they just kind of blaze over it, and they don't stop.
So what happens if you get a no? I can't think of anyone.
Well, again, at this point, at the 2 sets of eyes, you're not asking them to think of somebody now. You're saying,
okay,
look at this as I'm going through, and then think of it. Yeah.
Okay.
Number 4, when you're going through the chart, you're using the info and the concepts to constantly hit on why we need more people working with us so we can help more families. So let me restate that. When you're going through the education in the flip chart, okay, you're using the info and the concepts to constantly hit on why we need more people. So you're not just going through Rule 72 to teach the Rule 72 for crying out loud. Yes, you are doing it to teach it to them, but why not make the point of, look, how many people know this right here? You're smart, Bob and Mary. You didn't know it. So how many people don't know it? Oh my gosh, everybody I know probably doesn't know this. Right, you see why we're growing? Does that make sense to you guys? So a lot of people just go through the Rule 72, they just go through the education, just go, oh, this is cool stuff, I feel like a financial planner, this is really cool, but they're not keeping in mind the intention of the presentation is to plant the seeds of, this is why we're growing, this is why we're looking for people. Can you see maybe wanting to help people this way, right? Engaging them in that way.
That's validation.
Being more intentional, yep. Number 5, don't be afraid of mentioning opportunity too many times. The more you say it, the more they'll consider it. The more you say it, the more they'll consider it. People hear things one time, it rolls off their back like water off the back of a duck. But the more times you say it, they're going, it's like, this guy keeps mentioning this. You know what? Maybe I ought to consider it. I mean, how many big decisions in your life did you make by hearing something one time, right? Not very many. Most of us heard and thought of something for quite a bit. It's like, oh, you know what, that keeps coming back up, that keeps coming back up. So don't be afraid of mentioning opportunity too many times. There's no such thing. The more you say it, the more they'll consider it. Number 6, refer to the trainee during the appointment from the standpoint of these are the reasons Joe, or in this case April, these are the reasons April is working with us or wanted to work and represent Transamerica. So you'll see me do that. And when I'm going through the presentation, you'll see me reference, hey, this is one of the things that really excited April about why she's working here. Now, why would I care about what they think about April's excitement about the concept? Why would I care about that? She's their friend, right? She's their friend. So they, in this case, the Starkeys, value their friend's opinion more than they value mine because they don't know me. Does that make sense? And so again, all those are little psychological seeds that you're planting that have them go, oh wow, maybe I could do this, right? Number 7, people can more easily see themselves doing something that someone they know is doing. It's more plausible and accepting. It's kind of in line with what we just said. Number 8, if you don't get a sense that if you get a sense that they're not married to their job, reference that throughout the presentation, but especially when you go through the IT story and hand them the business review card, and you'll see how I hand them the business review card and plant those seeds, okay? So if you don't get a sense that they're married to their job, how do you get a sense whether or not they're married to their job? How would you get that?
By asking questions.
By asking the question, right? It's pretty simple. Just ask them. Go, hey, that's awesome that you're, how long have you been doing that? And again, you know how I do that mostly is through the Sam Lynn conversation. Through that Sam Lynn script, and you'll see me do that at the very beginning. So as we sit down and build rapport with them, not going to take a long time to do it, but when I build rapport, you'll see that's what I'm doing, okay? And so anyway, so we need to jump into this. I got my stuff here. I'll just leave that set up. Okay, so this is their kitchen table. All right, so Mitch and Laura, if you guys want to just get up and just kind of come right over here, we're going to shut the door, and April and I. She's already got the TV blaring.
I can plug it into the speakers if you'd like.
That's okay, perfect. All right, cool. I knew I could count on you.
I got some 80s music for you guys.
You should have put it in some row.
I know,
All
it's
right.
a rush. I should
Out
have
of
found
control.
rush.
Out of control. All right, okay, so here we go.
Happy couple. Happy couple. Happy.
Oh, you make her go get the phone.
Game's on.
James.
Oh, good to meet you. Good to meet you. So great to meet you guys.
One of the guys will really work together over the medical facility. Yes. Thank you for coming.
Absolutely,
If you
good to
wouldn't
meet
mind
you.
coming in, we're just going to sit in the living room.
Okay.
Right over here. Okay, do you guys mind if we sit in the dining room? We have some really important information. We'll go through a few visual things as well, and it'd just be more conducive there. So, clear off a little more. Okay, sounds good. All right.
That'd be great.
All right,
That'd
thanks
be
so
great.
much, Laura. And this is my husband, Mitch. If you can turn down the TV, because it's really loud.
No problem.
Okay.
Honey, turn on the TV, please.
And how are you? This is April and Mark.
Mitch, good to meet you.
Nice to
Really
meet
good
you.
to meet you guys. Really good to meet you. So is this okay right here then?
Sure.
Awesome. Good to meet you guys. So how do you guys connected? It sounds like you guys work together, right?
We do. We work at a doctor's office together.
Oh, excellent. Okay, excellent. Very good. How long have you guys been working together?
A few years?
Years, yes.
Yes.
All right, awesome. Good deal. Good deal. Good to meet you, Laura. Mitch, what do you do?
I work for myself.
You work for
Yeah, I
yourself.
work out
Okay.
of the house.
Okay. What exactly is it that you do?
Federal contracting, mostly. Long story short,
Okay.
work bases.
But you work for yourself. You're not employed anywhere. You work for yourself doing federal contracts.
Correct.
Right. Okay.
And then we can go and put small teams together.
Wow. Okay. So again, and you've been doing that for how long now?
About 8 years.
8 years. Okay, that's quite a while. And what type of contracting is it that you do?
Primarily communications,
Mhm.
secure communications.
Okay. So when you started there or started doing this 8 years ago, had you worked as an employee before? And then you transitioned into working for yourself, or have you always worked for yourself?
I've been an employee before, but I've spent most of my time, I got into this working with my dad. And
Oh, I
then
see.
he got out, so now I work for myself.
Oh, excellent. Okay, good. Good. So when you first started that, what made you want to get into the contracting with communications specifically when you first started with that a number of years ago?
Not so much the communications, but working for myself, I've always wanted to do.
Okay.
That was,
What made you want to start doing that? Like, what was the impetus for you starting to work for yourself versus what most people do? They're employees, right? That's what most people do.
get really paid for the effort you put in.
Mhm.
And when you do it
Yeah,
on
absolutely.
your own, it's all on you, and that works well. for me.
That's a great perspective. Yeah, that's a great perspective. Do you always see yourself working in the communications field, or at some point do you see yourself making a shift out of that, like you did, out of the employee realm into working for yourself?
I could see a shift.
You could see a shift at some point.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. What would make you? What do you think would make you shift, or what else would you potentially be looking for?
I guess probably more stability. Part of what I do is clearly working with the federal government, and when the funding doesn't come through and
I
you work
see.
for yourself, and
Okay.
your budget is based on that income,
So wanting more.
it makes it difficult.
Oh, I see. Okay, so wanting more stability, not counting on somebody else, but really being able to count on yourself.
Right.
That's awesome. Okay, good, good. Well, I appreciate you guys sharing a little bit before we get started. The reason I was asking those questions is just to get to know you guys a little bit better, but also to let you guys know that our company is growing very fast and we are doing very well. It's one of the reasons that April's working with our company. And so we are looking to schedule interviews, with quality people, people that understand commitment and like to take pride in what they do. So that's one of my main roles is looking at bringing people aboard for expansion. So if you guys can think of people or know people, whether it be yourselves or people you know, that are either in between jobs, people that maybe are underemployed, have a job but don't like what they're doing, guys like you, Mitch, that might be open to making a transition down the road. We do have part-time. When April started here, she was working in that medical facility along with Lauren. She started part-time and then is in the process of transitioning full-time. So we're not looking to take people out of what they're doing necessarily, but we can help them make that part-time transition. Does that make sense?
Sure.
But that's why I was asking those questions. I love to get to know people, but also let you guys know we're looking. So keep that in mind as well. What has April told you about what she's doing with our company?
She's just told me that she is helping families and really enjoys doing that and has been successful helping families, and she feels good about knowing that she's doing a good thing.
Okay. Okay, awesome. Mitch, and has she told you anything? Or I know she's mostly connected to Laura, but
Yeah, I haven't heard much.
haven't heard much?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, great.
Right, before you start, I just want to interrupt and thank you for being here today. I'm really excited you guys have Mark helping me with my training. He's been with our company for 16 years, so you can imagine the wisdom and experience that he has to bring. And he's actually opened up several branch offices with our firm. And so this expansion that he talked about, I'm really excited to be under his tutelage when working with that. He has all that wisdom experience to bring to me and raising me up, if you will, through that mentoring process. So I want to thank you for your time. He's a family man, just like all of us have our families. So being able to ask him questions today, anything that comes to mind, ask him. I'm going to take some notes because I'm learning from the best here. But you guys also are going to receive really great information today as well. So I want to thank you for helping me, but also let you guys know you're going to hear some great things today too.
Awesome. No, thanks, April. That's nice. I really appreciate that. I really do. And thank you guys for your willingness to help April with her training. There are two parts to her training. There is some licensing she's in the process of going through. And the second part of her training is what we call field training, or OJT. That's what we're doing here today. And so, as you said, your role is to ask a lot of questions as we go through. But as we do go through the information, here's the way I want you looking at it. I want you looking at it through two sets of eyes. The first set of eyes is from the standpoint of what April's going to be doing to help clients understand their money, be better financially prepared. This stuff is not taught in school. I think you guys would agree that most people don't know how to handle their money well. So I think there'll be some concepts that we share with you today that will be not only helpful to you, but maybe helpful to people that you guys know. So could you guys think of people that you know as we go through this that come to mind that might benefit from what we do on the client side that you could refer to April so we could help them? Would you guys mind thinking of those families?
Sure.
Okay, that'd be great. The second set of eyes is from the standpoint of our company's expansion. As I talked about and mentioned, that's kind of my main focus. We're looking for people who are in between jobs, people that are underemployed, have a job but don't like what they're doing. We're looking for people that, again, are looking to maybe make a shift or transition. Maybe somebody who's loves her job. There's a gal on our team, her name's Lorinda, that I always think about when I think of this. She's a teacher, and teachers love what they do, but she wanted to come aboard to be able to stay a teacher, but then also add some income to what she was doing part-time. So even if there's somebody like that that loves their job but would want to earn money part-time, can you guys think of quality people that you know that would be open to interviewing with our company as we go through this as well?
Possibly.
Okay, okay, good. Just, yeah, think of those people, and if you find value and would want to refer them, that'd be much appreciated. So I'm going to start off with the just kind of an overview, the mission of our company. The mission of our company is to help families or help people build and protect wealth for themselves, okay? So in Colorado Springs, how well do you think most people are doing in that area of building and protecting wealth for themselves? What would you guys say?
I would say not very good, but I don't know.
Yeah, not very.
Yeah, probably not very good, but you're a little bit unsure. Do you think those that aren't doing very well, or do you think they would want to do better for themselves if they knew how to do it?
Sure.
They probably would, right? So that's really April's main role with our company, is teaching people how to achieve their goals financially, not trying to convince them that this is what they need to do. You know, I used to work in the aircraft maintenance field, and when I first saw, looked at our company and came aboard here, the last thing I wanted to do was be in a sales position trying to convince people to do something they didn't want to do. But it was very clear that what we do is something people want to do. They just don't know how to do it, okay? So that's the first thing. We believe in creating relationships based on trust and building business through referrals. And so if you consider these two options, which I've kind of already hit on with the two sets of eyes, but number one, do you know of someone who could benefit from our message? What is that message? Either financially or on the career side, do you know of somebody? And you know what, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention this. Can this information help me or you guys and your family financially? If there are questions that you guys have as we go through the information today, and it applies to you, again, feel free to ask. We're here for April, but if you guys have questions, feel free to ask. Okay. On this side, in the blue area of the page here, when you guys, I'm assuming that because you're good friends, I'm assuming that you're going to give April referrals, but wouldn't it be nice to know before you refer her to families that you guys know, that you know what the process is that we're going to take them through? Absolutely. That'd probably be helpful, right? So I'm going to take you through that. On the first visit, the associate, or in this case April, discusses concepts, gathers some financial data, and schedules a follow-up appointment, okay? So we never make recommendations on this first appointment because we believe, as it says there at the top, a respectful, no pressure process, right? And so we don't expect that the first time we sit down with the family, okay? The second thing April does is takes that data that she collects from the family and she plugs that into our financial software that develops a roadmap for that family. So she does that away from the office, and then she schedules the time to come back, as it says here, number 3. She returns to present the analysis with recommendations, okay? So those recommendations are only given once that family knows exactly where they're at and April understands what their goals are, okay? So would you guys agree that our process is a respectful, no pressure process? That sound like a pretty good process for most families? It's like going to the doctor, When you go to the doctor usually doesn't write you a prescription the first time he meets you, right? He takes your blood and tries to find out what's going on, and then gets back and says, hey, based on the analysis, here's what we found. That's the process that April's going to be doing. The other thing that makes our firm really, really unique is that we're in what's called a non-captive situation. Are you guys familiar with the term captive versus non-captive? Have you heard that before?
I'm not.
No. Captive companies mean they represent their own products to the family. Okay? Transamerica is non-captive, which means we represent the industry to the family, not one company to the family. So, for example, are you guys familiar with some of these logos here? Obviously, Transamerica is a pretty well-known name. Nationwide, Pacific Life, ING. Do you recognize some of those?
Yeah,
these are just a small grouping of about 80 to 85% of the industry that April is going to have access to help our clients understand their money. Okay. So these companies are the manufacturers, if you will, of the products that we work with, or that April's working with. Things like different types of insurances, both permanent and term. We work with annuities, okay, which are privately funded pension plans, IRAs, retirement, and college. Okay, so we have a very broad swath. Wouldn't you guys agree that most of the things that we do, or the things that we do financially, apply to most people in Colorado Springs?
I think everybody should know about it.
Yeah, they do. I mean, most of the things we do, people, if they care about their money, they're going to care about making sure they've got that taken care of, right? Sure. So that's a little bit about our company. Here's one of my favorite pages. I love talking about the fact that we are in the financial industry. I think it's clear to you guys at this point that we're in the financial industry, right? But we're not of the financial industry. Now, what does that mean? We're in the industry, but not of the industry. We serve people that most of the industry leaves behind. Okay, our motto, one of our mottos, one of our mantras is "No family left behind." Okay, which means that we're serving people that most of the industry doesn't want to help. Laura, did you realize that to sit down with an average Merrill Lynch broker, you've got to have $250,000 to invest? Did you realize that?
I didn't.
Isn't that crazy? I mean, who in Colorado Springs is making 150 to 200 a year with $250,000 plus in net worth? I mean, who are those people? I mean, they're here.
Not us.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and not most families, right? I mean, a lot of the families live in the Broadmoor. It's those families. But our company said, you know what? Everybody else, that's about 3% to maybe 5% of the population. The other 95% is being left behind. And so the families that April is going to be dealing with here are families that live with too much debt and not enough protection on their income. They have little to no savings and don't have a clear understanding of how much savings is enough. And they don't make enough money and they're not sure how to fix the problem. When you deal with things like this, guys, it leads to this stuff. Little to no peace of mind, stress and frustration in the home, a negative impact on families. Our divorce rate, I hate talking about this among a bunch of married people, but the divorce rate in our country is primarily driven by what? Lack of financial peace in the house. So let me ask you guys something. Are there families that you know or have known, either know now or have known, that are these types of families that struggle with those things and have those negative impacts in their life? Do you know families like that? Like, can you think of, like, if you close your eyes, you go, I can think of like a whole handful of people.
Probably
Right?
most.
Definitely, yeah.
Those are the families that I want you guys to seriously consider. As long as you have a good feeling about what April's representing and about what we do as a company, those are the families that I want you to consider referring to us so we can help them, okay? And it's also a reason, and there's probably a good number of those types of families in the Springs, right? And because there's so many of those families, that's another reason why we're growing right now and why we're actively interviewing, because we don't have enough people to serve the families that are struggling with those things. So April's job is going to be moving families from this side of the page over to this side of the page, which is under the financial independence, okay? What does financial independence mean? And a lot of these things people know already. You know, you guys ever heard that phrase, knowledge is power?
Mm-hmm.
We kind of grow up with it, right? I'm gonna kind of buck that tradition. Knowledge is not power, okay? It's knowledge applied. People know these basic things like save more and spend less. Do you think people don't know that? What do you guys think?
Common sense.
They know that's common sense, right? Live within your means. That sounds like pretty good advice too, right?
Mm-hmm.
People know this stuff, but guess what they don't know how to do, guys? They don't know how to apply it. And again, that's my job, that's April's job, and that's why we're growing. Protect loved ones should the worst case scenario occur. Systematically reduce debt. Have sufficient funds to cover your families for 6 months to a year. If a job is lost, that's an emergency fund. Build long-term savings that protect you and your family for life. That leads to peace of mind, okay? So these are the things that people want to do, but aren't doing because they don't know how to do it. On a scale of 1 to 10, how well do you think people are doing those things for themselves?
Maybe
1 or 2?
2, 3.
Yeah, 1 or 2, right? Not very much. They're just not doing it very well. So can you guys start to see why the job that April's going to be fulfilling, what this is so important and why we're growing? Do you guys see that?
No, absolutely.
Okay, good. Hopefully you see the need for what we do. So I mentioned education. We're big educators. And one of the things that we believe in is educating people so that they have knowledge to make the right choices for themselves. And the first thing we're going to talk about is something that we call the Rule 72. Are you guys familiar with the Rule 72? Have you heard that before? No? Okay, good. I love teaching it. The Rule 72 is a pretty simple concept, and it simply says this right here. If you divide the number 72 by the rate of return being earned, you will obtain the approximate number of years it takes your money to double. Here's an example here, but I'm going to use another example first. Let's take a bank rate of return, okay? What are banks paying these days?
For
You guys
savings
know?
account?
Yeah, for a
Checking?
savings account, yeah. What are they paying? Do you know?
1, 2%,
Mm-hmm.
maybe?
I would say if you put a point in front of that, maybe, right? Not even that. Let's say it's a 1/4% is what they're probably paying. But let's go ahead and go with your example, Mitch. Let's use 2%. If I take a 2% interest-bearing account at the bank, which they're not paying, I divide 2 into 72, that number equals 36. That means it takes 36 years for my money to double. Now, is that a long time or a short time to double money?
Long time.
A long time. And this is what people out here are doing if we don't get to them. They're putting their money at the bank at not even 2% and taking a whole lifetime to double, okay? So 36 years is a long time. So let's look at a rate of return of 8%. These are the types of products that we work with that have the potential of earning that 8 to 10 to 12% return. So if I take 8 divided into 72 is 9. That means every 9 years my money doubles, right? Versus 36, a lot better. And it obviously is going to put that family on a better track. So let's look and see what happens here. At age 29, an individual puts $10,000 away into an account, earning 8%. So 29 to 38 is 9 years, it doubles to 20,000. Another 9 years to 47, it doubles again to 40. And you can see what happens at 56 and then at 65. When you guys agree it'd be better to have $160,000 of accumulated value instead of what that person's gonna get at the bank?
Definitely.
But how are people gonna get there if there's not a company willing and able to show people how to achieve that goal? How are they gonna get there? What's the game plan?
I didn't even know there was an 8% available.
You know what, you guys are, April's told me quite a bit about you, Laura. I know you guys have worked together for years. I know you're highly educated, Mitch, you run a successful company. You guys are a smart couple. If you didn't know it, how many people out there don't know it, right? And how many people need the help of somebody like myself or April, right? Or somebody that, again, you might refer us that we could train to get out there and share these types of concepts, right? That's the importance of what we do. So, back to Rule 72. So, when you think of this 8% return, Mitch, you just mentioned, I didn't even know that that was there. If you were to get an 8% rate of return, what's one of the first questions or concerns or challenges somebody might have to earning an 8% rate of return? What do you think a question or a concern might be related to that? What do you think? Laura, what do you think?
I would be concerned about taxes.
You could be concerned about taxes, okay? Earning, well, you know, if you owe taxes on money that you're earning, that means you're earning a good rate of return. Okay, then I appreciate that. What other concern might people have by earning this higher rate of return? Like if I could earn an 8 or 10% return, what concern or question would they have besides taxes? And I appreciate that.
I think it'd be the risk.
Very good, yeah, it would be the risk. There'd be a risk. And you know what, and certainly if you're earning a high rate of return, you do have to be cognizant of taxes. We'll talk about that here in a minute, Laura.
Okay.
But the biggest thing people have is a concern about, you know what, Mark, my Uncle Joe was earning 10% in the market in 07, and in 08 he lost everything. That's a big concern, right? Let me show you a concept that we share that April actually will be working with. This is one of the tools that we use called an index account that allows families to take advantage of the market when it's up, but never have to worry about the downside. Okay, so in this index account, we're using 3 indexes in the market. We've got the S&P 500. Have you guys heard of the S&P 500 before? Standard & Poor's, that's the U.S. economy. Here's the European economy, the Euro Stoxx 50, and the Hang Seng Index, which is the Chinese market.
Okay.
All 3 of these indexes are used to grow money. But just because you're diversified doesn't mean that you're safe. Look at what happened in 01, 02, and 08. Pretty big negatives, right? Did you guys know people that lost money in 08?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about.
Yeah, exactly. That's what most people think about, right? But look what happens. The purple line here is the index interest in this account. And you notice that it follows the market when the market is up, but does not follow the market when the market is down. When the market was down in 01, 02, and 08, look what happened. It hit the floor, and the floor in this case is 1%. Most of the floors we work with, that April will be working with, are between 0 to 1%. So it protects that family's money from following the market, okay? Let me ask you guys a question about people. Think of somebody that you know that's fearful of investing in the market. They've lost money, or they say, look, I'd rather put my money and bury it in the backyard. Think of that person. How do you think they would feel, Mitch and Laura, knowing they could invest into the market when it's up, but never have to worry about the downside? How do you think that would make them feel, knowing they could do that?
People I'm thinking of would be skeptics at first, and then probably feel,
If we could prove it to
Silly.
them. Yeah.
and
I
then
mean,
probably feel silly.
if we could prove it to them that this product really exists,
Yeah.
do you think they would be more likely to stick with a long-term savings plan knowing they would never lose?
Oh, absolutely.
Do you see why we need to get this message out, guys?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen anything like this before?
No.
Have you ever seen it? Right? If, again, I go back to your education. If you've not seen anything like this before, how many other families have not seen anything like that before, right? And this is, again, this is why we're trying to get that out. So pretty eye-opening example, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, the other thing we're going to cover is time value of money and taxes, and we'll wrap up. Okay, let's go to time. Okay, as it says here, time can be your greatest ally or your worst enemy. So here's 2 people, 2 individuals, person A and person B, who are going to save money over different periods of time. They're going to save $2,500 a year, earning 10%. Person A is going to start when they're 30 years old. Person B is going to start when they're 35 years old. Okay, only 5 years difference. Now, when you're in your 30s, is waiting 5 years, I mean, in your opinion, is waiting 5 years, is that a super long time to wait to start saving when you're young like this?
Doesn't seem like it.
It doesn't seem like it, right? I mean, 5 years goes by like that, especially when you're in your 20s and 30s. It's not that big of a deal. So let's see what happens. So person A saves, his principal invested $2,500 a year from age 30 to age 65. He put in $87,500. This guy, because he started 5 years later, put in 75,000. So the difference is 12,500. Okay. Now, 12,500 again in the big scheme of things doesn't seem like that big of a deal. But when you look at the compounded growth of what that return will do, remember I just taught you guys the rule 72. 10 into 72, that's pretty easy math. What is that number? Do you know? 7.2. That means I'm doubling my money every 7.2 years. And this guy achieved $677,000. This guy achieved 411, which is still a big number. But look what it cost him. It cost him not 12,500. It cost him over $250,000 to wait what? 5 years. Do you guys think people would wait to start saving money if they knew it was going to cost them $250,000 to wait 5 years? Do you think they would wait if they knew what the cost
not
was?
if they knew what the cost would be. If they saw that, if I'd seen that, I wouldn't.
If
Yeah.
you'd seen that, you wouldn't have waited, yeah. And again, I go back to why we're growing, why we're expanding. There's so many people out there right now that are in the third year of their 5 years waiting, and the second year of their 5 years waiting, getting ready to buy new cars, right, they're gonna put off saving and cost themselves, in some cases, maybe $500,000. And again, these types of concepts are why April's working with us and why we wanna grow. We'll finish up with this concept, taxes. Did you guys realize that taxes is the single biggest expense that you will pay over your lifetimes? Did you guys know that?
No.
It's not Laura's shoe bill, okay? I know you
Are we
might
sure?
think it, yeah. It's not your kid's college education, it's not your house, it's not your food, it's taxes, okay? So here's what I want you thinking of. When you see green, so there's 3 categories here. When you see green, I want you to think of government has their hand on your money. Okay? When it's gray, it's not being taxed. When it's green is government. Okay? The first box is taxable. At the beginning, right, of this triangle where it's small and it's obviously green, the government is taxing you when you put your money into the account. The government taxes it while it grows, and the government taxes it at the end when it's its biggest value. The whole way through, there's no tax relief in the taxable category. Tax deferred is something like your 401k. I think you guys at your jobs have 401ks, right? The 401k, you'll notice at the beginning and in the middle, it's gray. So what does the gray mean? No,
Not being taxed.
right, no hands off, no government hands. So there's no government hands on your money when your money is small or when it's starting to grow, but the government gets their hands on it when it's its largest value. Okay? Do you guys realize? Do you guys think that most people know? I don't know. Maybe you guys don't know. Do you guys think, whether it be you or other people you know that your 401k is fully taxable, or that you're creating a tax liability when you retire? Do you think most people know that they're creating that pitfall for themselves in retirement? They don't. Some of my clients, Laura, they actually do know. They go, yeah, Mark, I know I'm going to be taxed on it. They actually do know. But why do you think they use the 401k if they know that they're going to be taxed on it? Why would they continue using it then?
That's what you're told to do.
It's what you're told to do, good, right? It's what your employer has for you. Would you say anything different, Laura?
I would just think that's their only option sometimes. They feel like that's their only option, is to go with the 401k.
Right, because that's all that people, you get a job and no one educates you about what other choices and options are out there. You go, oh, well, the 401k, and everybody that I know is doing it, so yeah, sure, why not do it? And I'm not saying it's bad, but there's definitely a way to do it without creating the tax liability, okay? Tax exempt. Tax exempt means, again, remember the green means government, right? So the government has my hand on the smallest part of my money in the last category, but as that money grows, and the best part about it, when I pull my money out, I'm not taxed on it at all. No government hands on that, okay? So we use this box to set up for families a completely tax-free retirement. How many families in Colorado Springs, percentage-wise, do you think can have a completely tax-free retirement? How many people, how many families know that?
0.
I don't know about
No
0,
idea.
maybe 1 to 2%.
Nobody I know.
Nobody you know, okay. Do you think most people would want to have a tax-free retirement?
Absolutely.
Of course they would, right? So if you guys don't mind me asking, just as an example, maybe for April, what box would you say you have a majority of your long-term money in?
Middle.
Probably the middle box. If there was a way to set up your long-term money where you guys had a tax, because obviously if most of it's in the middle box, mentioned you're fully taxable in retirement. If you could learn a way to reduce your tax exposure in retirement, would you be open to ideas about that?
Definitely.
Okay, good. So you'll have, in just a minute, we'll get to that. If you guys want, we can look into maybe shifting more of your money from the tax deferred to the tax exempt category if you'd like to, okay? Can you guys see some value in what April's going to be teaching our clients? Has this been helpful for you?
Very.
Okay, great. Let's finish up with this. Here's how we bring everything together. The main thing that we do as a company is we provide a financial roadmap, a game plan. Let's say we're all going to hop in a car with our families and we're on vacation for a week and we're going to head to the Grand Canyon. Now, none of us have ever been to the Grand Canyon. I literally have never been. I don't know if you guys have. I've never been to the Grand Canyon. Oh, you haven't either. Okay, good. So this analogy will be good. So we hop in a car, we've only got a week, and we head off to the Grand Canyon. We've never been there before. We don't know how to get there. What should we grab before we leave, do you think? What should we grab? What do you think, Laura?
I don't know.
To be able to get there
Map.
efficiently, a map, some sort of a map, right? This day and age, it's a GPS or something on our phone, but some sort of a tool that shows us you're at point A, you want to get to point B, here's how you get there. Well, guess what? Our clients are on a financial journey, and guess what? They've never been to retirement, right? Have you guys been to retirement before? I've never been to retirement. How are we going to get there? I don't know. What should we grab? Some sort of a map, right? And that's exactly what April's going to be doing for our clients, is helping them to pinpoint that map. The map is a financial analysis, which covers areas, if you look here on the right side of the page, cash flow, debt management, emergency funds, that's short-term money, proper protection, that's making sure income is protected, building wealth for the family long-term, and then preserving wealth. This is the plan. Now, we're not unique because we provide a plan, guys. There's a lot of companies. You go, oh yeah, Joe Blow's company provides a plan, an ABC company provides a plan. But we're unique because the plan we provide is zero cost to the families. I've been here 17 years, we've never charged for that plan. It's complimentary to the families we serve, okay? But here's what we ask in return. All we ask for is that family refers us to families like theirs that need the help that they need. In lieu of a fee, refer us to people. Would you guys say that's a fair way of doing business?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's the plan. This is why, I hope you guys can see, this is why April's so excited about what she's doing, okay? So the plan answers questions for a family such as, how do I create a workable savings plan that I can stick to? What goals should I set, and how much do I need to save to achieve these goals? How much insurance coverage or coverage do I need, and what types of plans should I consider? That's what the plan answers. Wouldn't you guys agree that most families, if not all, families can really benefit from having the answers to those questions?
Oh, yeah. At least
can, right?
Just asking the questions in the first place.
Yeah, and asking the questions and then giving them the answer. Most people have those questions, they just don't know the answer, right? So can you see the need for what we do and why we're growing right now?
Sure.
Because most people don't have the answers to those questions. We, Transamerica, guys, sees ourselves very much like the IT industry saw themselves back in the 80s and 90s. You guys remember that era of time when home computers were just starting to get into a lot of homes, and cell phones came on the market, all this electronic technology came on. Years ago in the 80s and 90s, there were no IT degrees, right? People, there's a great demand for all this technology, but the companies didn't have enough people to create the products to serve the need that was out there. So what did they do? Companies like Nokia and HP and Microsoft, all these companies pulled people out of mid-level management positions in retail, doctors and dentists and people that had different backgrounds, people in the military, and they trained them and they developed them and they put them in a position from a training standpoint to work in a brand new industry. Guess what we're doing? We're doing the same thing. That's why April's here. You guys know April. You know she doesn't have any background in this industry. So we've trained her, like the company trained me out of an aircraft maintenance job, to work in the industry, and that's why we're growing as a company, right? And the willingness to train people. So we're not looking for people with previous experience. So Mitch, I know you don't come out of this background, but if you're looking to shift gears, and you said that a little while ago that you were not necessarily married to what you were doing, or maybe open to looking at other opportunity down the road, I'd highly encourage you to maybe look into our firm from an interview standpoint and or people that you guys know. So that's all I wanted to cover with you. I hope you found that valuable in terms of what April was doing or is doing with us. I want to hand you a business review card. This card will help me keep track of April's training. We're seeing a lot of families right now get the word out about our expansion of her training. So if you guys can fill out the top section here, name, address, and phone number. Down below here are three options. The first one says starting this from a career standpoint, starting a career with our firm. What that would mean is people that you know, remember, go back to the two sets of eyes, people that you know that are in between jobs, don't like what they're doing, want to earn some extra money, or Mitch, people like you that say, hey, I might be willing to start with you guys part-time. In my view, it would make sense, Mitch, for you to check that box because you said, again, you're not married to what you're doing. Learning more about financial solutions for my family. What would that mean? That means that you know people that are open to learning about financial concepts. ones that might not know where to invest their money or be afraid of the market and want to learn about the floors and the guarantees that we provide, or people that would want to set up a tax-free retirement versus a taxable one. Again, I think, Laura, you had a question or concern on that you guys didn't know. Majority of your money was in that middle box. So, you know, again, if you guys want to road map, check that box. Both of the above, I think, applies the most, because I know we talked with you guys tonight about looking at us from an interview standpoint, as well as learning more about the tax-free retirement. So check that. More than likely, we won't be doing the data collection tonight. We've got another appointment here. We've got to leave for about 10 minutes. So we'll schedule a time to get back, and then Mitch, if you are open to an interview, I'll get a time set with you to come in and interview with our firm. Any families that you guys know that you thought of, because you know, again, you said you'd think of people that you knew and people came to your mind that would be open to interviewing with us, please put those names on the back, and we'll get them down either for an interview or out to do a roadmap with them. Does that sound good? Okay, great. So if you can fill that card out and check the boxes there, that would be great. And we're done. Was that painless enough? Awesome. It's good to meet you guys.
Nice to meet you.
All right, great. Give Mitch one more hand, guys.
Yeah.